Hello everyone, it's Deb Floros for Jesse James Beads. I'm going to be working with the Cozy Halloween collection, which I'm crazy about. The Bead Strand Duo Falling Leaves and the Bead Strand Duo Harvest Gold are two of my most favorites, and the colors and textures of these together are really going to be spectacular. This is the Going Squirrely mini mix. This has some really fun things. So I'm going to put these together, but I'm going to add some brownie batter TOHO 11 seed beads. That's going to be my spacer bead of choice for this fun faux layered necklace that I'm going to create. So I'm going to start with some 19 strand beading wire from Beadalon. This is gold. I had one small piece left on the spool, and I'm going to create a strand, not attached to anything, just a strand with no clasp. So I'm going to put a size 2 crimp tube onto the wire and create just a really small loop, just small enough that we can string it onto more beading wire. I'm going to use my crimping pliers. I'm going to hold on tightly to my wire, and I'm going to crimp. And then I'm going to trim off my excess wire, and then I'm going to string on some beads. I'm going to take that larger strand of the leaves, and I'm crazy about that large strand. I'm actually crazy about both of them, but I'm crazy about the pattern of kind of the ombre effect of these leaves. So like the different shades of leaves at fall. So I'm going to string on all of those leaves in order of what they're on the packaging. So the strand packaging, I'm just going to cut, and then I'm just going to add it to my own strand with 2 of those brownie batter seed beads in between each leaf. So I'm just taking out those little gold tone spacers. All of that gold tone metal will help me with another project down the line, but I'm just going to take those 2 seed beads and drop them between each leaf, keeping them in the same exact order on the packaging strand. And I love how this looks, and there's something about these matte leaves. They're just really, really rich colors, and I just can't wait to see how this is going to come out, because when we put them with everything else, it's going to be really, really fabulous. So here's everything strung up and seed beads in between, and all I'm going to do now is crimp the other end. So I'm going to take my beading wire and I'm going to string it through another size 2 crimp tube, string it down through that first leaf, and then I'm going to need to pull that tight somehow. So I'm going to use a beading awl, and I'm going to pull my wire down till it's the same size as the loop on the other side, and then I'm going to crimp. You don't want this to be too tightly crimped, so you don't want to crimp in a straight line, because we want this strand to be very fluid and flexible. It's going to attach to our other strand that we're going to string up now. So I've now got some bronze 19 strand beading wire, and I'm going to cut open this package or this strand of the smaller leaves, which are also incredibly beautiful. And I like the order of these as well. So I'm going to separate them into 2, because half of them will go on one side of the necklace and half of them will go on the other. It took me a minute to count them and figure out that there were 6 for each side. And it's the same colors, so I'm going to do half and half. Now I cut open the Harvest Gold Duo strand, and I'm just kind of separating out the beads, taking a look at them and deciding which ones I want to use. I love the combination of all that sparkle and the crystals with that matte of the leaves. There's just something about it. Then I'm opening up that mini mix and I'm pulling out some of the beads I want to use there as well. I'm not really going to use much in the way of metal for this necklace. I will need a few of the daisy spacers from the falling leaves, but I'm taking the rest of that metal and I'm setting it aside, because we can always use metal in more of our other designs. So I started just like stringing on some of the smaller crystals at the end of one side of the necklace. And I did a trio of crystal, and then I pulled out 3 of those really cool wood beads. There's 2 sizes in that mini mix, and I'm using the smaller, but they have large holes. So I used the gold daisy spacers to put on either side of each wood bead. And I just did a trio of them just to create some interest in the necklace. You could integrate the larger ones if you like, and you can space them out differently than I did if you'd like. After the wood beads, I did another series of some crystals and just the different colors and the shapes. So very pretty. And I used 2 seed beads between every bead. So that's the continuity bead throughout the whole necklace, and it creates some cool spacing, and just that darker color makes this even a more interesting design. So then I'm stringing on my leaves, and I'm stringing them with the pointy part of the leaf upwards on this side. And I'm doing the same kind of ombre effect with the seed beads in between, leaving the ordering that, that the beads were on the packaging strand. And I really love how the smaller beads are going to kind of flow into the larger beads, but we are going to have to string our strand of the larger leaf beads on. So we've got that pre-made strand that we did already. So once we get that first section of 6 leaves on, I'm going to take this strand, and we've got a very small loop at the end. What we're going to do is add 1 seed bead, then add the strand, and then another seed bead. So that strand, that loop, is going to settle right in between our 2 seed beads nicely. And then we have to continue on our beading. And I thought what would be kind of fun here is just pulling out crystals. So using only crystals in that section that will sit above our strand of leaves. So I had on either side of the center point, I started with the same beads, but then I used 3 of the larger beads as my focal. So 1 of the big rondelles, 1 of the diagonal cut squares, and 1 of the ovals. And the ovals we used on one side of the necklace already. So this is just going to be another layer, so to speak, of this faux layered necklace, because this is really not layered, not 2 layers. It's kind of one necklace with an extra layer. I don't know, maybe it is a real layer. Anyways, so we are stringing on the last of the beads there, and getting the last of the seed bead ready, so that all we need to do is add on our other side of our drape of the leaf beads. So remember, we did 1 leaf bead and then strung on, or 1 seed bead, then strung on our large leaves, and then another seed bead on either side. Now this may not look super pretty, this, at this angle and the way that we're working through it, but trust me, it will look great. Now we strung on the leaves going in one direction on that side. On the other side, on the side we're starting now, I'm going to put them on in the opposite direction, and I'm going to start with the opposite end. So starting with the darker color first rather than the lighter color. And the leaves are going to be facing with the pointy end downwards. So you could style this differently if you would like. Obviously, this is just to give you an idea of how you can use these beautiful and fun beads. But they all look so beautiful together. Really taking them and configuring them in any way would look fantastic. So I'm just stringing on and doing those 2 seed beads in between each of the beads on this side of the necklace as well. And the colors are so beautiful. The shine and the matte look so good together. And I'm just kind of taking a look at how that's going to hang when it's actually on. And I'm really loving that drape. So from here on, we're just going to replicate the pattern of the beads on the other side. So just the same patterning with the seed beads in between. You know, we've got those wood beads with the daisy spacers on either side. We're doing that as well. So it's just going to be the same in this phase of the necklace. So we're just stringing on those pieces, just kind of making sure everything looks right. I didn't miss a bead or skip a bead or add an extra bead, because sometimes that happens. So I'm stringing on the last of the beads, and wow, I'm crazy about this. I'm just crazy about it. It is really fun. So I'm going to grab my bead stopper, add it to that side, and then cut my wire from the package and add a second bead stopper. And then I've got to clean up all of these beads from my mat so that I can start working with the closure for this piece. Oh, I love it. It's so cool. So I've got a large lobster claw. We don't need anything fancy here. And I'm going to use seed beads to help create my closure. So I'm adding a size 2 crimp tube, and then I'm adding 13 of those seed beads. And this is just going to be a loop. And we're just going to go back down through the crimp tube and down that first bead there. So I'm putting the wire back through that bead, and then I'm going to pull on the wire and just kind of fidget a little bit until I get everything positioned right and I get my loop as good as I can get it. So if you've got a little space between any of the beads, it's okay, because this is at the back. And the only thing I want to caution you is just be very careful when you're crimping, because you need to position your crimping pliers so that they're not going to grab onto your seed beads and crack them. So I've got another size 2 crimp tube for the other side, and here we're going to add 6 seed beads, our clasp, and then 6 more seed beads. So that lobster claw is going to sit right where that 13th seed bead would have sat on the other side. So stringing all of that on, and all we need to do now is take the wire back down through the crimp tube and through that first bead. And I'm going to pull on that, and then I'm going to make sure that all of the slack in the necklace has been pulled out. So just letting gravity do its thing, kind of move the piece around, and then we're going to pull our crimping pliers in again. And you're just going to be very careful to position them so that you're not grabbing onto beads, and then you'll get a nice closure there. Trim off that excess wire, and guess what? We have a really beautiful layered necklace that is so divine. The matte, the crystal, the shapes, the colors. I mean, it's everything. This is such a fun fall piece. It's very cozy, very Halloween-ish, fall-ish, and super fun. Here it is outside in the sunshine in Arizona fall. And I hope that you will give this a try. Check out the cozy Halloween collection at jessijamesbeads.com. Thank you so much for watching.